You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2. And everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and listeners, I am so pleased. I'm so pleased to say that today, yes, finally, I am standing outside Comedy Club for Kids HQ for the first time this year. Linda, it's exciting that we're back home, Linda, isn't it? Oh, I might have forgotten to tell Linda, actually, especially as I have no idea where she is or who she is. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, I haven't been able to enter the usual Radio Nonsense home of Comedy Club for Kids HQ for quite some time due to a terrible outbreak of far too many stinky hippos. The Hazard team have been dealing with it though, and I think they're nearly done.
We're nearly done.
Excellent! And I'm going to help out with the removal of these last few stinky hippos by reading out 2 messages from you listeners in the mailbag this week. The first is from Tim Air 22222239593884948484944 in the UK. There's a lot of other Timmies before you, isn't there, Tim Air? But they're in the UK, and they say, Linda! She is working at Co-op, and I'm taking 100% of your stinky hippos. Wow, that's where Linda is, at the Co-op. What is she doing there? I mean, I really hope she's not a manager, as she can't expect her team to do any work when she never turns up. Well, thanks for the info, Tim Air. I'll look into it. And also, thanks for taking 100% of the stinky hippos. And then there is this from Francis, who says, I took back infinite stinky animals and replaced them with real lemons. Yes, real lemons. Lemons R Us went bankrupt. Wow. Well, that is terrible news for Lemons R Us, but that is great news for me. Thanks for taking back all the stinky animals, which I think includes the farting ones, and then for replacing them with real lemons.
That's it. All the stinky hippos are gone. I declare Comedy Club for Kids HQ safe once again.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Francis, and Tim Air, number something or other. I can finally go home, thanks to your help. But before I go inside, if the rest of you want to send in anything at all, whether it's helpful things or questions that need to be answered, or a made-up spell to win a copy of Gary Panton's The Not Witches, as mentioned a few episodes ago, then all you have to do is find your nearest clay-brained grown-up, and get them to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. If that same grown-up would like to help support me making the show, then they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition for a small fee on Apple Podcasts, Acast Plus, or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. And do also check out comedyclub4kids.co.uk to see where all of our live shows are. And it was so nice meeting so many of you at the Arts Depot show in Finchley the other week. Thanks to all of you that came along and stuck around to say hey afterwards. Right, well, all seems to be absolutely fine here. Wait, what was that? Is that a lemon? And another lemon? And another lemon? It's raining lemons! It's just because Francis replaced the hippos with lemons?
Be careful, everyone. We are detecting dangerous levels of lemons.
Uh-oh, not so many lemons. While I take shelter from them all, you listen to this most importantest bit. Joining me on Radio Nonsense today is the one and only Charlie Vero Martin, agent to the actual stars, several planets, and also exoplanets. Charlie, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm just in awe to have you here. I know you have to spend a lot of your time talking with the universe, and so
Yeah.
me as a tiny, I'm not even a dot in the universe. You know, for you to come down to this level and chat with me, I feel humbled.
Oh, no, do you know what? It's actually a very welcome break. I've had such a busy year so far because we had all the planets aligning,
Yes.
for that big parade last month. I was just so swamped, and they're all such divas, you
Mm.
know. Neptune wouldn't get into line unless they had their, M&Ms.
Oh wow!
And
What color
yeah,
does Neptune go? Is it blue? I get to. Do they go for the blue
yeah,
ones?
only blue. You can only have blue. Luckily, Mars only eats the red ones, so it was kind of
Ah,
I could easily split them, and they were both happy. But uh, I mean, that was a really, really stressful parade. So I'm just glad to be, back here on Earth.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know if many of our listeners realise this, but and it's something I know from reading all your columns and all your kind of writings about your work. But the planets don't align very often, and people think
Mm,
that's because of the way they orbit, but it's because they don't get on, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There is a lot of beef between the planets for sure. Saturn is constantly accusing people of stealing her rings.
Mm.
And Mars is just very, very aggressive in general. Pluto obviously has been feeling very put out in recent
Oh,
years
Pluto. Mm.
because, they're not really part of the gang anymore. And some of the planets were, kind of trying to like get him back in and we're on his side, but in general, the solar system decided that he wasn't fit in anymore. So that's where a lot of it started. There's always
Yeah.
something going on with the universe.
But this is where your expertise comes in,
Mm.
because Pluto, it was very sad when they said Pluto is no longer a planet, but you remarketed it. You said, hey,
Mm.
how about if we say Pluto's like a cute mini planet? Like
Yeah.
you changed its image. We also look at Pluto and think, oh, cold weird planet out on the edges, but now we're all looking at Pluto thanks to you and thinking, oh, isn't it adorable?
Yeah.
It's all by itself, too small to be a big planet.
A rebranding is
Mm.
just what everyone needs. And also everyone loves an underdog, you know?
Yes.
I mean, everyone's on Pluto's side now, and then there's been some other spottings of some other possible little cute planets, so they might kind of get together and do their own thing. It's going to be like NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys. Watch this
Yes.
space, which is a
Wow.
reference I don't think a lot of your listeners will get, but their parents will enjoy it.
Yes, I was trying to think how to translate that for. I'm not sure. It would be. No, I've realised I don't know any. I don't know any current bands that our listeners
Mm.
would have a clue about.
I feel like some planets are really into K-pop. That makes
Yes,
sense to
I was.
me.
I was gonna say, yeah, it'd be like Blackpink versus one of the other K-pop bands that I don't know the names of. But yeah,
Blue green.
yeah, Blue Green. Yeah, that's it. Blackpink versus Blue. I'm sure there's one called Blue Green. That makes
Mm.
sense, right?
Yeah.
The problem is not speaking Korean. I don't know the proper names, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, watch this space.
Wow, yes,
Literally.
yes, literally watch the space. I mean, it's tricky. You focusing on planets, but there's a big universe out there. How do you kind of pick and choose who you want to work with and where you want to work with?
Well, I mean, people do come to me. Planets and meteorites and comets, they do often just fall into your orbit.
Right,
And
right, right.
they're
That
like,
sounds
I'm here
dangerous. Is that
now. I'm the hot new thing. What are you going to do about it? And you kind of just have to roll with it. I mean, Mars was a very busy client for a little while. We had a lot of rovers and things going up there. Um, Mars is having a bit of a rest now. The moon, even just the moon last year, the moon, nobody really cared about the moon since like the 60s. But then suddenly last year we had blue moons, we had red moons. I
yeah?
had to do a lot of PR for the moon in the past couple of
Wow.
years.
I mean, I
Yeah,
that th- you recently there was a blood worm moon, and I thought I have not
exactly.
even heard of that. I didn't know
Yeah,
there was a worm on the moon or
yeah.
that it was injured. I knew nothing about this. and suddenly it's all in the news. Yeah.
Yeah, she's suddenly become very prolific, the moon. I think, she got a little bit, tired after everyone trying to like visit her in the 60s and stuff. And now she's come out as this real creative force. It's really exciting to see her working on so many different colorful projects, for sure.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Back in the day, I just remember everyone was like, "Oh, you're made of cheese," and now here we are.
We've really tried really, really hard to shift that perception. We did some rebranding was going on there for sure. As much as I love Wallace and Gromit, they did not do much to help our campaign on that.
No, they really didn't. And that is a reference that the listeners should know, and I also know. I feel very pleased about that. It's been quite, Charlie, again, I appreciate you've come back on the show, but you've really had quite the career. You're working with all those planets now, but am I right in thinking it started before that with sort of comets, asteroids, and then before that just sort of birds in the sky and hot air balloons? Have you just kind of gone outwards? Is that how it's worked?
Yeah, just always expanding new horizons. People, say that's meant to be a metaphor, but I took it very literally.
Yeah.
And it's done me no harm. So
Good.
I, shoot for the stars, or shoot for the moon. You might get the stars, but don't actually shoot anything, please, because that would make my job very difficult.
It would, and it would. It's also quite a lot of effort. I don't know how you'd shoot a star. That's they're quite big. They're very far away.
They're very far away, but they make themselves bright targets. So
yes.
It.
I mean, it's also we should point out it's not nice to shoot things.
Exactly. I regret using that metaphor now.
Sure.
Children's podcast. I meant maybe with like a catapult or something.
I mean, our listeners are of all ages, and my worry is that, especially with your intergalactic kind of presence, there might be alien overlords that take this too seriously. Next thing we know, they've zapped a star, it's exploded, wiped out a couple of galaxies, and then suddenly this podcast gets all the bad press in the space news.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I'm just going to tell my assistant, Juniper, could you please just issue a press statement to say, please, nobody shoot any stars, please, or moons. Thank you. I just want to make that clear. I know this won't be going out. This isn't going out live, is it? But I just, Juniper, if you could get that ready to be released, that would be great. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Can I just? Juniper seems very on it. Where is she from? She's very unusual looking.
She is from one of the spheres of Venus.
Right.
She's pretty much all gas. She's just a ball of gas.
That's lovely. Wow. Well, she carries it very well.
Yes.
Very well.
She's very elegant. Bit smelly, but
right.
I don't discriminate in my office.
No, I think that is lovely that you can work with bodies of gas, and I think there's not many places in the world, especially on Earth, that would be up for doing that.
Yeah, and that is their problem. They're missing out. I couldn't work without Juniper. She is everywhere and anywhere I need her to be.
That's great. Do you have to be careful with sort of opening a window? Or cooking anything? Have you got issues?
Yeah, I like to give her a heads up, but she's fairly flexible.
That's good. Yes. I presume as a gas, you can be pretty.
Yeah, air conditioning units. In the summer though, that can be difficult.
Yes.
That can be, when people put the fan on without warning her, that's problematic.
Yes.
We've had to do some HR on that. That's true.
That's very difficult, but quite handy, and I mean this with no disrespect to Juniper, quite handy to cover up other people's fart smells, right? Because it's always, if someone who farted, you can all say, how rude, this is our staff member, when in fact, actually, all of you have farted.
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend, if you're ever in a position to hire a PA, hire a ball of gas.
Yeah, I bet. That's very... very handy. Wow, I mean that's exciting. Have you got any free time? I guess you're just each of your just even in travel must be taking you light years every time you need to do some
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's summer now, so we
Mm.
just the clocks went forward. So we all time traveled very quickly, very simply.
Yes, yes.
Very happy lazy time traveler day, to
Oh
you.
yes. Oh, thank you. Happy Lazy Time Traveler Day to you as well. It's definitely one of the best ways to time travel. I think just
Mm,
constantly forward.
yeah,
It's quite
just
nice.
constantly forward, but we all just agree on one day to just kick it up a notch for 1 hour.
Yeah. What happened to you? I mean, you might know this actually.
Mm.
With your knowledge of time and space and interdimensions and things. What happens to that hour? Because we go forward an hour, and then it's like the hour's just gone, and I sort of feel like did stuff happen in that hour, and now, or is it just do we save it? Where does it go?
Yeah, it kind of just we slot it back in later on in the year. It
Right.
just kind of seeps back in and we don't know. That's what deja vu is.
Right. How is it when that hour comes back and
Yeah,
you go, have I been here before? No, it happened in that hour
it happened
where
in
you
that
left.
hour. So yeah, it doesn't always slot back in is as an hour chunk. You might get like 30 seconds here,
Right,
that's
right.
how it does seep back in. And we just kind of go, oh, when you walk into a room, you're like, why did I come in here? It's because, in that 30-second
Yes.
chunk, you knew, but it's gone now. So,
That makes sense. It's also because I did wonder if it happens often. The clocks go forward at night, and that's
mm,
so you're going to be sleeping. If that hour goes and comes back, you might not remember it. Whereas if it happened at 3 in the afternoon, you could be in the middle
yeah,
of school or driving or all these important things, and you
yeah,
suddenly lose that. And you think, oh, where
yeah,
am I? What's happened? That can be very confusing.
yeah. I mean, we maybe should work out a more efficient way of divvying up the time, but
Hmm.
I mean, it's worked so far. Very few people question it. You're the only person that actually has highlighted it recently.
Oh,
Um,
oh dear. Is that? Am I going to be in trouble for that? Or
I think if we just keep it to this podcast, if
sure,
we don't
sure.
if we don't question it to anyone else, I've had quite a few issues with people flying as recently as well, time zones,
Mm, mm.
saying, "Will I get that time back?" Um, and you just have to say yes. One day you will be waiting for a very long time.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And you've got to think of it as not, and people always say in those moments, oh, I'll never get that time back. It's like, actually, that
You
was you
will.
getting that time back from that time you
Wow.
flew to Spain. So,
That's clever, isn't it? That's clever.
mm,
I do wonder. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. It'd be nice because we obviously only go forward an hour when it's for summer, and we get that back, and then you get your time and you travel, and then you get it back. But could you sort of go forward 5 years, and then at some point get it back by just sitting around doing nothing for 5 years?
I mean, I've tried. I've
Right,
tried.
right.
Um, I'm applying for, it's a very long application process. They don't let
Mm,
everybody,
mm.
they don't let everybody do it. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved in
Right,
doing that
right.
amount of time travel. Um, but I'll let you know how the process goes. Um,
Brilliant. That would be
yeah.
great. Yeah, if you could do it before you get your 5 years, because I worry that I could be waiting quite
Mm,
a long time if
yes.
you're about to let me know, but then you take 5 years off doing anything.
Yeah. And maybe in that time you do your own 5-minute, 5-year application
Mm.
form. And so when I'm back, you're away and
Yes,
we'll
and then
keep
that's ten
missing each
years, and yeah,
other. Yeah.
awkward, very
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to work this out. But I suppose
Mm,
it's you're very good at organising. I
yeah.
trust that you've got this in hand. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you get in touch with Juniper. She'll put something in the diary and we'll make sure we coordinate our 5-year application plan.
That'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. What is the best way to get in touch with Gina? How do we do that?
Just whistle through the wind.
Right, right. That's what I
She'll
thought. Right,
pick it
okay.
up. Just go out, whistle into the ether. She'll
Yeah,
pick it up.
that's great. That's very handy.
Mm,
That's very handy. And I'm so sorry to people out there who can't whistle, and
mm,
therefore you can't pass on any of these messages. Well, listen, Charlie, it's so nice to
mm.
have you on the show again, and again, as I said, it's nice for you to be able to take time out to do this. I have got a very important question that you are the person I think can answer it.
Great.
But as is always the case with the show, I've got a couple of bits of admin that I need to check with you first. I know you've got a lot of admin already in your life, but how do you feel about that?
Well, Juniper has helped with all the admin so far. I mean, there's admin, and then there's life admin. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a lot of washing on a clothes horse here.
Yes.
That admin never ends. The life admin. Luckily, with the sun out, that's helping with that. And I don't feel it's appropriate for me to ask Juniper to wash my dirty pants and socks. So
Sure,
yeah.
I should just check with you as well before we go into this. How do you feel about using a clothes horse? Because it should be out in the wild somewhere, a clothes horse. But for quite some years, people have been taking them in, hanging their washing on them. And it's now quite a controversial thing in today's world.
Well, I would say that we treat our clothes horse very well.
Oh, good.
This was originally a stray clothes horse.
Right.
A stray clothes horse. It was just walking around the streets,
Right.
a sock dangling from its nose, and
Yeah.
a pair of pants on one hoof. And they brought it in, and they were like, if somebody doesn't give this clothes horse a home, and we live in a second floor flat, so I'll admit, we're not the ideal candidates for adopting a clothes horse, but I don't think he would be happier anywhere else. I mean, he's part of the family.
Good.
Part of the family now.
Your clothes horse does look very content. Very content.
Yeah.
And you have given it quite a lot of clothes, to hang on there. And that is, I suppose, ultimately it's quite hard for clothes horses to find clothes in the wild.
Yes,
which can
exactly.
cause troubles. I'm glad. I just wanted to. I didn't mean to interrupt our flow about admin, but it's an ethical question of our time. So
no, I understand. I appreciate that, and I wouldn't. I understand. We've got to be watching out for these things.
Yes,
but we do take very good care of our clothes horse. We do take it for walks around the communal garden once a day.
Amazing. I knew you would. I shouldn't have questioned it. And Charlie, as for these admin questions, if you need to refer these to Juniper, that you go for it. She's fine to answer any of them if in your place, as long as it's more that just legally for the podcast. I have to ask these questions before we can move on to the main reason for you being here. So I'll give you both of them. One of them is a question I can't remember if you answered this before, but we need to check it again, because this podcast is suitable for people of all ages, all time zones, all areas of the galaxy, and because of that, I just need to make sure that if there are any rude words that you won't be saying, just so we can check that it's definitely safe for everyone.
Yeah, and it's okay for me to say them now. Say them here.
Well, you're saying them here, but only because you won't be saying them. So it's
okay.
Just to clarify.
I won't be talking about tabernacles.
Wow. Yes. I'm very pleased you won't be talking about tabernacles. That is an outrageous word and indeed subject. And I mean, can you imagine the complaints? We were talking about it, someone shooting a star earlier, but if we got into tabernacles.
Yeah. Yep. And just in case you can't, I mean, we may have to cut that, because it is quite a sensitive subject. So I'm just going to check with Juniper if there's anything she didn't want me to... Oh, yeah. No, Juniper has asked that I do not use the word pinky toe.
Wow. Yeah, I just need to clarify, is that just a single pinky toe or several pinky... Do pinky toes also count?
Pinky toes is fine. Pinky toes is fine. That's less hostile. But pinky toe, that's unpleasant, isn't it?
It's really unpleasant. It makes me feel quite sick, actually. Quite sick in my mouth. And I should also check tabernacles or several tabernacles are okay, I believe. Is it because then it's like a flock or a school, isn't it?
It depends on how big they are.
Yes, that's very true. It's very true. I mean, we have to. We have to clarify these things for the show, and I appreciate you. You're an excellently meticulous person. You can you really crack onto where the problem areas are, and that's
Yeah.
why you're so good at your job.
Yeah. In fact, Juniper, I think maybe we need a second press release just to confirm that I won't be saying those words. Thank you, Juniper. Thank you.
It's great. And thank you, Charlie, for not saying tabernacle or indeed pinky toe. I appreciate that, and it won't be said on this podcast ever again. So
great.
wow, well, thank you, and thanks for Juniper's help too. The second question, this is harder, I think, but we'll see how you take your time. I always think these questions are quite tricky because of the choice that you're given in them. But Charlie, would you rather have a pet dinosaur or have a pet rubbish truck?
Oh, that is a tough question. Now, if the pet rubbish truck then went away once a day to put all the rubbish away, then great. But if I've got to just keep everyone's rubbish in my house because it's my pet rubbish truck, that would be a definite no. I think I'm going to say pet dinosaur. I think it's just a bit more straightforward.
Yeah, I mean it's a space issue, isn't it? Not space. I shouldn't say that to someone who is
Yes,
constantly with space
please
issues.
be careful
so
about how
sorry.
you use these words.
I do apologize. I as in the maybe a room issue or a size issue, because dinosaurs and indeed rubbish trucks are going to be quite tricky to keep in a home.
And we already have a clothes horse.
You've already got a clothes horse, so it's where you put it. Rubbish truck, you probably could park it outside.
Yeah, but I still feel like I'm gonna say, so I don't get to choose the size. See, I assumed when you said a pet rubbish truck, it would be like dog-sized rubbish truck.
No, I think it's just a full-sized
rubbish truck.
Yeah.
That I have to maintain. No, I'm gonna stick with dinosaur.
I have said that. Nowhere in the question does it specify size. It just says pet dinosaur or pet rubbish truck. Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe it is a miniature, lovable little pet rubbish truck that you could put around on a lead. I don't know. And similarly, I don't know if the pet dinosaur is a brontosaurus or one of those little tiny
like raptor type things.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I would have better conversation with a dinosaur though.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like they're a bit more interactive. You could probably play games with them. We will need to do some introduction with the clothes horse,
of course,
just to make sure they acclimatize to each other. But I think ultimately, they could get on really well.
That's nice.
Yeah, and also parking in central London is so awful.
That's true. That's true. Rubbish trucks can park wherever they like, though, can't they? You can just sort of. I should say, I don't know if there's listeners around the world. Is it a trash truck? That sounds like a truck that says horrible things about stuff. I don't know what they call it in other parts of the bin.
Because I would have called it a bin lorry. What did you just call it?
Bin lorry. I said a rubbish truck, thinking that was more like people around the world, the
international.
But maybe it's not, because
bin lorry sounds very British. Yeah,
it's very, but it is the best name for it. Bin lorry is definitely.
Yeah. Trash truck. Yeah, I don't know what international.
Trash truck sounds like trash talking. It sounds like trash trucking. Yeah.
I've always loved that the French for waste paper, like bin, is poubelle.
Yes,
it's like
so delightful, that, isn't it?
Bell.
Yeah.
So maybe they call it a poubelle bus. Any French listeners, I would love confirmation on that.
Poubelle, bus de poubelle, probably.
Bus de poubelle.
Bus de poubelle.
Yeah. If they don't call it that, they should. Yeah.
Yeah, they might also, but it's a bit like the way they call a potato an apple of the earth. They might go completely. Like rogue. A rubbish truck might be like, I don't know, like a dump of the road, or it might be something completely different.
That's what Americans call it. They call it a dumpster truck.
Dumpster truck. That's the thing. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
You're right.
We are solving international relations here.
It's great. So, I mean, but that's what you're so good at. This is again why I get you on the podcast. You can. I mean, these are so minor compared to the kind of international relations you usually have to.
Yeah. I mean, I do sometimes look at what's going on Earth and I think maybe I should come back because obviously they need me. They need me
Yeah.
to just be the diplomat. I do it for all the other galaxies. I
Mm.
should maybe come back down and do
Yeah.
some relations down here.
I mean, I agree, and it would be lovely to have you back. It'd be very nice to have you back on Earth more often. But I do worry if you weren't in space. I think that if things went wrong on a galactic level, that's also quite
Yeah.
bad for us here. Like that's the
Mm,
issue, you know.
yeah. Well, I'll see what I can do. See what I
Yeah,
can do.
yeah.
I am very busy these days.
You
Yeah.
are, you are, and again, look, listen. Well, I'll cut to the chase. Thank you for
Mhm.
you dealt with that question. You went for rubbish, dumpster truck, trash truck, poo bell de bus. You went for that in the end, did you? No, you went for the
No, I
dinosaur.
think I'm still gonna
You went
stick
for the
with
dinosaur. You went for
dinosaur.
dinosaur. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And did you have a preferred type?
A brontosaurus is lovely because I think
Nice,
then we can, because I'm on a second floor flat, we can put the brontosaurus out in the garden,
lovely.
and he can or she or they can come up to the balcony, and we'll
Mm,
keep the clothes horse inside, so they each have their own space, you know?
that's very nice. That's lovely.
There's
That's
there's no
lovely.
parking on our side of the building, so I think the dumpster truck might be too
That's very
tricky.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also during the winter when the brontosaurus is cold, if it gets cold, you can
Mm,
always have them in if you position them, if you've got an area where their tail can go out one window and their head can go out another window, but you
yeah.
can have their body indoors. I think that's one way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they're very strong, if they lift up, they can just walk with the whole building on top of them.
That's nice. You can just move to a warmer location.
Exactly. That would be the ideal way of
Oh, that's
dealing with
lovely.
it.
That's a
Mm.
lovely idea. The best sort of caravan in the world. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, great. Well, thank you. Admin
Mm.
dealt with. You didn't even need to call Juniper in for that one. That
No,
was
no,
brilliant. So
I mean, she's very busy writing all those press releases, so
of
that's great.
course, of course, of course. Well. This is Charlie. This is the question I've got you here for. This is
Mm-hmm.
big. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this has been sent in by Tobin, who says,
Right.
"My name is Tobin. I am 10." I should say Tobin doesn't say 10 what, like, so it could be
Oh, okay.
10 births of civilizations. It could be
Mm.
10. It could be
Watermelons
10.
in a trench coat.
Yes, exactly. It could be that he has 10 watermelons in a trench coat, which is that's happened before on this show, so it
Yeah.
very possibly could happen again. I'll leave it to you to decide. But Tobin, who is 10 of something, says, "My question is, why doesn't Pooh talk anymore?"
Ah, yes. That is an excellent question.
Mm,
Big question. Um, and I think if we're going to assume that Tobin is 10 regular years old, not
yes,
light years or
yes,
anything like that, I really do feel for Tobin because he's right, Pooh doesn't talk anymore. I feel like
yeah,
my generation, my age group was the last sort of generation to remember a time before Pooh didn't talk. Like we
yeah.
remember Pooh talking a little bit, but it was already kind of fading out by the time I was reaching adulthood. Um I mean you're a little bit old. I don't want to give too much away, but you are a
Sure.
wee bit older than me.
Yes,
I'm
by just a
assuming
few
you,
hundred years. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so you maybe remember Pooh talking a lot more. Um
Yes, I do. I do. Well,
yeah.
I remember when everyone would gather around to hear the stories that the Pooh tells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone would have a town crier Pooh that would come into the
Yes.
middle and yell all the daily Pooh
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course Pooh was regularly the sort of presenter of various shows and
Mm,
radio
mm.
series. Yes, it was a lovely time. Yeah.
It was a lovely time. I mean, it is why in the Victorian era, I mean, Who's were very prolific. Like they were
Mm.
spouting poetry and
Yes.
all
Yes.
sorts, constant, lots of political opinions. And that is
Yes.
why they brought in the flushing toilet and the sewer system because it was just getting too noisy in the
It
cities, wasn't
was.
it?
It was. It was. I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. My history's not so good. Was it that was? It was called poetry, wasn't it? And political
Yes,
opinions. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was
Um,
great times. So great. Well, no, you're right. Great times until then it became too much, and
mhm. It was
um,
kind of it was taking up a lot of the day
mm,
listening to Pooh.
yes,
It wasn't, You know, the Victorians were all about productivity. They had a lot of things they wanted to invent, a lot of stuff they wanted to do, and people sitting around listening to poo, spouting poetry, just
Yeah.
didn't really align with that. So, yeah.
No, it's a shame. I mean, there was a thing, and I'd be interested to see how you feel about this, because clearly there was a point where humans realised they could talk poo as well, and
Mm,
that was quite dangerous, because I think it was up to the poo to talk poo before, but then humans went, well, we can talk poo as well, so they started talking
mm,
poo on radio and on TV,
yeah.
and that was kind of the end of the game, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, that's so I think getting back to his original question, Tobin's question of why,
Mm.
so why don't they speak? Why does poo not
Why
talk
doesn't
anymore?
poo talk anymore? Yeah, yeah.
And as I say, I think it kind of started to filter out as I was getting a bit older. And so I do think there is a correlation between actual poo stopping to talk and people getting more into internet and social media for their entertainment.
Yes,
As
yes,
you say,
yes.
humans started talking poo a lot of places, and I think maybe they thought they couldn't compete with that.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
people don't want to sit around and listen to us in the back. They're too busy they've got their phones. They're
Yeah.
watching humans talk poo. So we're not needed anymore. I that's the
I mean,
sad, sad reality.
do you think that really we should heal the nation by putting our phones down and talking to a poo a bit more often, listening to what they have to say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have to respect their boundaries. You know,
Mm.
they've chosen not to talk anymore. So I think if we were to suddenly go into our bathrooms and start screaming at the toilet,
Yes,
that
yes.
that would be a bit disrespectful. Um,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. That's true.
So we maybe but you know, you could just do an odd, hello, how are you doing?
Yeah,
Um, just to see what happens. But I think that we don't want to go too hard too quick.
yes. I mean, it might be an idea to start somewhere like and I and you as well. We live in a city, so you don't see it
Mm.
often. But a horse poo can just be left around
Mm,
in all sorts of
hmm.
places, and it might be a good idea
Yes.
if you come across a horse poo to say, "Hey, yeah, how's
Yeah,
things with you?" And just
yeah,
because they're out in the open, that maybe they're more
yes.
approachable. I don't know.
They're more approachable and yeah, they're not going to be flushed away. So,
Mm,
you know, there is something quite dismissive about being flushed away. And maybe they don't feel like they want to talk to someone who's going to dismiss them like
yeah,
that. Whereas if they're a country poo, out in a field, hanging around, you know, they maybe talk to the cows and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So maybe saying hello to a human won't be too much of a stretch, you know,
yeah.
too much of an
That's nice.
inconvenience.
That's nice. I mean, I will say that the one thing I think that's better now is, and I don't if but you maybe you didn't deal with this, but there was an awful time when you would flush away a poo and it would go as it went, and that
Yeah,
was really horrifying having to deal with that every
yeah,
time you had a poo. And I'm pleased poo is now used to that and
yeah,
doesn't complain about it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it depends on the kind of toilet you have because I went on holiday and there was one of those really fun toilets with, you know, all the buttons on it.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I did once hear a poo go, woo!
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
so I
That's
think they'd
nice.
maybe built it into a bit more of a like a water slide situation. Um,
That's good. That's
so
good.
so that felt a little bit more humane.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but again, I can understand why Pooh doesn't want to talk to us. After all
Yeah.
we've put it through, you know?
It's very true. Yeah, it's very true. It probably doesn't want anything to do with us anymore.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame. We've got a lot of bridges to build there, possibly out
Yeah,
of poo. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for instance, I wasn't around for the 80s. What was
Right.
Pooh like in the 80s?
It was everywhere. You
Right.
really couldn't get away from it. A lot of dog poo.
Oh
Doggy
yeah.
had
I
a lot
mean
to say.
that I don't
Yeah.
miss. That I don't miss.
Yeah, but it was a lot of poo, and it was I mean, you had the punks, which were the sort of punky poos.
Yeah.
That was a big era in the
Mm.
80s.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was the beginning of the decline, and
Yeah, yeah.
that was my era. I wasn't around in the 70s, 60s, or any of the
Mm.
previous. I did pop up in the 20s, see what it was like, but then I was gone again.
Of
So
course, yeah.
yeah, and they had a roaring time in the 20s, actually, the poos. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
times change. I suppose
Times
that's what we
change.
have to say to Tobin. I guess times do change, and
Yeah.
poo doesn't
You've
talk.
you've got to make your peace with it. Like for my parents, for example, who were around in the
Mm,
60s and 70s, I don't think they've really ever let go. So you do still hear them talking in the bathroom.
yes.
And they get very agitated, very irritated that the poo doesn't talk back anymore.
Mm,
But I have to remind them, it's been a good 20, 30 years since poo really talked, but they
yeah.
just miss the good old days.
Yeah, the poo old days. They really do miss the
Good
poo old
old
days.
days.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I hope Tobin can ask his grandparents some good classic poo
Yeah,
stories and find
yeah,
out
yeah.
what it was like back then. That's what we need. Is we need poo historians, poo historians to keep these
Hmm.
tales alive. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, wow. We got quite deep there. It's a very moving question, actually.
yeah,
When you think
yeah.
about
It's
it.
lovely to have a bit of nostalgia every now and then, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
really is.
And it's an area we don't focus on much. We don't have you don't see it in the museums,
No.
people talking about the time before Pooh stopped talking. We don't have any
Yeah.
big sort of Netflix dramas, you know,
No. No, we really
set in
don't
the
actually.
era of Pooh talking.
Well, do you think that's an issue because it would be awful to have a human playing a poo and misrepresenting poo, but getting poos
Mm.
to play themselves when they don't talk is also a problem, and I wonder if that's
Yeah, it's
part of
a
the
it's a
issue.
question of authenticity, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it really is.
Um,
Yes, it's a tricky area, and I guess you don't really deal with poos in space.
no, no, our flush system is very fast. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. I bet it is. I bet it is. Wow. Well, listen, Charlie, thank you so much. Thank you for answering Tobin's question. I hope he is happy with that. And you, what have you got going on after this? Are you busy with more planet stuff? You got something else happening?
Yeah, well, it's Juniper's birthday,
Oh, that's
so we're
nice.
gonna we're gonna have a nice lunch.
Mm.
She's then gonna go back to Venus and visit her family. So I'll be taking on some of her tasks. Yeah, just looking at what's going on with British summertime. Got a lot of admin
Yes.
with British summertime happening, so I'm afraid you're not going to see me for a bit, and then I'll be hibernating, as a
Yes.
lot of creatures tend to do in the winter.
Yes. Yes. Of course. Of course. And yes, potentially for five. You'll be doing it 5 years as well. I
Yeah,
understand. So
if the application gets approved, that's
yes.
the hope.
Well, listen, I wish you best of luck with that. And I suppose if we see you soon, then it hasn't gone through. But if we
Mm,
don't, then you've achieved it.
yeah.
And hopefully, I was going to say hopefully we'll see you soon, but I hope we don't see you soon. I
Yeah. I'll
hope you
see
get
you
your.
on the other side of time.
Yes, that sounds fantastic. We'll have a lovely time in the other side of time.
Time. Thank you.
Huge thanks to Charlie Vero Martin for taking time out of managing all of those planets and their issues to answer Tobin's question. Tobin, I do hope you liked your answer, and if not, why not send any complaints you have in a poo, and then the poo won't be able to talk to me, so I'll never have to hear them. If you have a question that you need to have answered, or you want to send in anything else at all, please get your nearest clay-brained gutso, sorry, I mean grown-up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if you'd still like to enter the competition to win a copy of the brilliant book, The Not Witches, then listen back to the episode with Gary Panton for details on how, and you've got till April 23rd to send in your entries of silly magic spells. Please also check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk to see when all of our live shows are. I might even be at them. And if you're coming to the one we're doing at the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre in May, then I will definitely be there, so do say hello. Ah, yes, the lemons are still falling. And now there seems to be millions of them. But, at least it's a nice, fresh, citrusy smell. And that is much, much nicer than those stinky hippos were. Although, why are my eyes and throat burning? It's like the smell is too citrus. It's too fresh. Oh, hang on.
I'm afraid the area is not safe to be in. It's too lemony fresh. Evacuate! Evacuate!
What? But it's only just safe to return to Comedy Club for Kids HQ. I thought that when life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade. How has something come through the letterbox? I'm outside. What does this letter say? This is Lemonade R Us. You've already bankrupted our sister company, Lemons R Us. Now stay away from our lemonade company or there'll be trouble. Yours lovingly and sweetingly with kisses and stuff, Lemonade R Us. P.S. It's not really lemonade, it's potato juice, but if you tell anyone that, you'll be in even more trouble. Well, I guess we have to leave Comedy Club for Kids HQ again until it's safe from lemons. I'll see you next week from wherever I manage to find that's safe from lemons and hippos. Bye!
You have been listening to
Comedy Club for Kids presents.
Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. It's the end.